gotta change the name of the channel. Damn. Do you want to alter character appearance? What do you mean, man? Spicy soup with the broccoli on. Spicy soup with the broccoli on. Get more motherfucking followers off the YouTube than the motherfucking Twitch. 3 soup probably down. Could be super probably down. Okay, Google, good morning.
Hello, Young Money. The time is 9:06 a.m. Right now in Denver, it's 38 degrees and partly cloudy. Today, it'll be partly cloudy, with a forecasted high of 51 and a low of 31. In honor of Black History Month, here's a fact about what happened today in Black history. You can customize your routine anytime in routine settings. Paul Laurence Dunbar was the first Black poet to gain a national reputation in the United States. He was also the first to use Black dialect within the formal structure of his work. In 1896, Dunbar's lyrics of A Lowly Life was the single piece of work that established and solidified his reputation as a poet. On February 9, 1906, Paul Laurence Dunbar passed away. Adapted from Black Heritage Day 4 calendar by author, lecturer, and civil rights activist Dr. Karl Marx. Have a good one. Here's the latest news. From Reuters TV, U.S. at 8:55 a.m. today.
And now, with round-the-clock updates from Reuters journalists, here are today's top stories.
McConnell speaks out against the Republican National Committee.
Macron says Russia and Ukraine are both committed to the Minsk Accords.
Top U.S. Senate Republican Mitch McConnell on Tuesday criticized his party's censure of 2 prominent Republican critics of Donald Trump.
The issue is whether or not the RNC should be sort of singling out members of our party who may have different views from the majority. That's not the job of the RNC.
Last week, the Republican National Committee censored Representatives Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. Cheney and Kinzinger are the only Republicans serving on the House of Representatives Select Committee investigating the events of January 6, 2021, when supporters of then-President Trump stormed the Capitol in a failed attempt to prevent Congress from certifying President Joe Biden's 2020 election victory. The RNC took its action on Friday, calling the Democratic-led committee's inquiry an attack on, quote, legitimate political discourse.
We saw what happened. It was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent a peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election from one administration.
All Morse Mutual operators are on call right now.
What it was. With regard to the suggestion that the RNC should be in the business of picking and choosing Republicans who ought to be supported, traditionally the view of the National Party committees is that we support all members of our party, regardless of their positions on some issues.
The controversy comes as Republicans are hoping to regain majorities in the House and Senate in the November midterm elections.
French President Emmanuel Macron said on Tuesday he believes steps can be taken to de-escalate the Ukraine crisis and called on all sides to stay calm. In a high-profile bid to act as a mediator, Macron shuttled from Moscow's talks with President
stay calm, man.
Putin on Monday to Kyiv to hold talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He had no breakthroughs
The president's name is Voldemort.
His office wrote back on Tuesday after an official said overnight that Putin had promised Macron Russia would not stage military maneuvers near Ukraine for the time being. But the French president said he thought his talks had helped prevent the crisis from escalating further. He said both Putin and Zelensky were committed to the Minsk Accords, the 2014 peace deal signed in response to Russia's annexation of Crimea.
The Minsk Accords are also the best protection of the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Based on the commitment of the two sides, Russia and Ukraine, we now have the possibility of advancing negotiations.
Zelensky made clear, however, he was skeptical of any assurances Macron may have received from Putin.
Generally, I don't quite trust words. That's why I think that every politician can show his or her openness by concrete deeds. In our case, those are steps towards de-escalation. In order to do this, as I understand, this person is open. This person has every possibility.
Western countries led by the United States fear Russia is preparing to invade Ukraine. Moscow has denied plans for an attack, but said it could take unspecified military measures unless specific security demands are met, including a promise from NATO never to admit Ukraine. While Western countries have stood together to back Ukraine, they disagree about the likelihood of war. French officials have suggested they think Washington has overstated the threat. Kyiv itself has played down the likelihood of a large-scale invasion. Whatever Moscow's true aims, Western countries say they cannot safely assume the crisis will end without war unless Russia pulls back its troops.
You're up to date. Check back later as stories develop.
From CNN News Briefing at 6:30 a.m. today.
Hello from CNN, I'm Fez Jamil with the 5 things you need to know for Wednesday, February 9th. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is at odds with members of his own party after the Republican National Committee reprimanded 2 of its own. Representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger were censured in a resolution on Friday for being part of the House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. That resolution also referred to the attack on the Capitol as a, quote, legitimate political discourse. Speaking to reporters yesterday, McConnell clearly laid out what he thought January 6th was.
We saw what happened. It was a violent insurrection with the purpose of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election.
McConnell also said it wasn't the job of the RNC to be, quote, singling out members of our party who may have different views from the majority. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, meanwhile, defended the legitimate political discourse term, claiming it referred to the House committee's subpoenas to RNC officials who were in Florida at the time of the Capitol attack. The University of California system has reached a settlement with more than 200 people who allege they were sexually abused by a former UCLA obstetrician-gynecologist. Dr. James Heaps was arrested in June 2019 and charged with sexual battery of 2 former patients in 2017 and 2018. Many women came forward following his arrest and accused Heaps of wrongdoing. According to a statement from university officials and the plaintiff's attorneys, the university agreed to pay more than $243 million to 203 plaintiffs. Heaps has pleaded not guilty to the criminal charges and is awaiting trial. The settlement is separate from another one in November 2020 when the university system agreed to pay $73 million to those who alleged Heaps had sexually abused them.
Hello, this is Pegasus Lifestyle Management. How can I help?
Barred from competing in the Winter Olympics. CNN.
Thank you, sir. Your spectacular aircraft is now ready for you at our nearest airfield.
Federation code following accusations she supported the country's opposition movement. That code is needed to take part in the games, so the 17-year-old hasn't been allowed to compete in Beijing. The International Ski Federation told CNN it's reached out to the Belarus Ski Association to ask why the status was changed, but hasn't had an update. CNN has also reached out to the Belarus Ski Union and the Belarus Cross Country Skiing Federation for comments. Dolorovich told Reuters that she and her family had to relocate to Poland. Her coach and father is a 7-time Olympian who has spoken out publicly against the Belarusian regime. The skier is one of several Belarusian athletes who have been banned from competing or forced to flee the country in the last year.
Staying with the Winter Olympics, Team USA has won its first gold in Beijing. Lindsay Jacobellis came first in the women's snowboard cross competition Wednesday, finally claiming an elusive gold medal in her 5th Olympics. The The 36-year-old beat France's competitor, who took silver, and Canada's boarder, who earned bronze. According to a sports data site, Jacob Ellis is only the second U.S. athlete to win a Winter Olympics medal, at least 16 years after her first. Coming up, a woman is rescued from a lake after spending 2 days on an air mattress.
Having a hard time hiring? You need a hiring partner built for hard times. That's Indeed. Indeed is the #1 job site